Hi everyone, I'm on early. We still have a few minutes, like 7 minutes before I'll start, because I'm going to start exactly at 4 o'clock. So just going to I'll be right back. I'm going to go get my iPad so that I can see comments. Okay, sorry about that. I left it in my room, so just gonna set it up. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over the pattern real quickly because, well, I guess we still have quite a bit of time, but I'm gonna go over the pattern pieces real quickly to make sure that we all have it, because I did forget to make the straps, so I had to cut them out real quickly before I hopped on. Okay, so you have your straps. These are 4 inches by 20 inches. 2 of them, and I'm doing mine in vinyl, so I don't need to interface it. If you're doing quilting cotton, you'll need to interface it real quick. Bottom support. This is the stabilizer. It's Peltex, or you can use Decovil Heavy if you want. The next pieces are the side panels. You're gonna have 2 foam, 2 lining pieces, and 2 of your exterior pieces. Bottom panel, you'll have your foam, your lining, and then your exterior piece. Slip pockets, you'll have your exterior and 3 lining pieces. And then, I think this is the last piece, you'll have your main panel. This one is 2 foam pieces, 2 lining, and 2 exterior. If you're using a quilting cotton, you're going to want to make sure that your exterior and your interior, or your lining, is lined with the woven fuse. I'm using waterproof canvas and vinyl, so I don't need to interface. Okay. Just going to move this out of the way. So this is my first time sewing the Ethel bag, and I'm really nervous, so everything should go smoothly. I hear it's a fairly easy bag to sew up, and I've been seeing a lot of people in the group coming out with beautiful ones, so I'm really excited to do this. Okay, so I am going to be sewing mine on a industrial sewing machine. It's a Juki DDL 5550. You can, if you're using all cloth, you should be able to use a domestic machine. I would just try to eliminate the bulk of like the foam and stuff like that, but and use a walking foot if you are on a domestic machine. That will help. Okay, so I have my instructions right here. We have 3 more minutes before we get started, so I'm just going to read through them. If you have any questions, ask. I have my iPad up, so I can answer, and I know Tammy's gonna hop on. She's doing the sew along also, and she'll be able to help answer questions if I'm not able to answer them, if I'm busy. I am using a Tech 70 thread. It's fairly thick. It's not regular all-purpose thread. So, I think that's about it. Turn my machine on. Okay, so I'm gonna let everybody get set up. We have a couple more minutes before we need to get on, or before we start, sorry. So yesterday I did, yes, you can use fusible fleece. It might not have the same stability like standing up wise. It probably won't be able to sit. It'll be a little slouchy, but you could use fusible fleece. I always found that it's best to just try it out. I know interfacing is really expensive, but a lot of interfacing is trial and error, and it's also personal preference. So some people will use different, will layer different interfacings to make it how they want. So I say go for it. And that will also help with the bulk if you're using a industrial machine. Okay, let's see. Tammy is here. Hi, Tammy. Okay, I'm hoping that I can, for some reason my iPad like turns off the, it doesn't show me all the comments, so, okay. Here we go. So yesterday I did the interfacing part. Well, I didn't have to interface, but yesterday I did the cutting and interfacing. So if you haven't interfaced, go ahead and get your iron and interface your pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm kind of going to go out of order a little bit. So I'm going to get my straps, and I'm going to do my middle line and then add my double-sided tape so that I can make my straps. So I'm just using, this is regular paper crafting tape. Yes, so this is just regular paper crafting tape. This is what I use. Sometimes it gums up my needle, but I haven't really had a, I haven't had an issue with it. Hoping to eventually get leather tape, but I'm using what I have. So. Sorry, could not find my ruler. Not where it's supposed to be. Okay, so with my straps, I'm going to draw a line 2 inches. I'm going to draw a line with 2 inches, hello, down, because it's going to be a 1-inch strap, and we don't want any raw edges. We'll do the same thing if you're using a regular cloth. Okay, so see, I have my line. Oh, sorry, you can't see it. I have my line right here. Set that aside. I'm going to do the same thing to my second piece. So your strap should be cut at 4 inches wide and 20 inches long. You can always adjust the strap if you don't like that size. If you want to make it longer, or you can make it shorter if you just want like a little like arm. Okay. So now I'm just going to add my tape down the middle. Okay, so now I have my double-sided tape. Let's see. Sorry, I'm going through the pattern just to make sure. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to go a little bit out of order. This will be the only thing I'm going to do out of order, and then I'll go through from the top. But I just like to get my straps out of the way. Okay. So you're just going to get your vinyl and put it to the center. Okay. Hold on a second. So I'm leaving a little bit of a gap. That way it sits nicely when I close it. This is a thin vinyl, so I'm not too worried, but I know with marine vinyl, it can get fairly thick, and sometimes it doesn't sit right if I put the edges close together. Okay, so see, I'm in like a dark area, so you can't. Okay, so you see little gap right in between. Hi, Mary, welcome. So excited you're here, sewing along with me. So I'm gonna use some clips just at the top. I just want it to sit nicely. Make sure it's nice and. Okay. There we go. So I'm just going to get my clips and I'm going to go down just to hold it in place. And I'm sorry, I make a lot of faces while sewing, so. So these are just Wonder Clips, or they're not Wonder Clips, they're clips that I got from Amazon. But they're kind of like Wonder Clips. So here's my strap. Now I'm going to do my next one. Okay. So we are making the Ethel bag. I plan on continuing doing sew-alongs. So I think maybe we'll probably do one once a month. and I'll do a poll at the beginning of the month, and we can decide which one we want to do, and then we can sew it together. So right now I'm still just putting the handles together. Okay. There we go. Now we're just going to clip it like I did the other one. So when I stitch this, I like to do a nice top stitch. I like to lengthen my stitch length to a 4 on my industrial. I do it for all top stitching and when I'm sewing vinyl. So we're going to do our strap. So it says to do it at 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to sew this at 1/8 of an inch. Make sure my stitch is at 4. And I back stitch on mine. And I always start on the edge that is folded. I'm just going to cut my threads at the end so they don't get tangled up underneath. And so here we go. We got our strap. All nice and done. This is my first time making it. I'm pretty excited. Currently I have a backpack that I'm using, but it'd be really nice to have a small little purse. So I'm making myself one. Normally I don't make myself a purse, but today I'm treating myself. So we're gonna do the same to our next strap, just making sure it's nice and even. Okay, so strap number 2 is done. Okay. So I Yes, what Tammy said, it is personal preference. I just like how it keeps the edges together, so then like it doesn't make it uneven, because if I put it in on the folded side, it could shift and it could make one shorter than the other. I don't have a walking foot. I just have a regular, I don't have a walking foot machine. I just have a regular one. So I personally like to do on the folded edge, so I know that it's going to be even. Okay, so straps are done. I am going to just set these aside, and now we can move on to the slip pockets. But first I'm gonna fuse, or well, I didn't use fusible, I used this a stabilizer, and so I'm just gonna do a nice little decorative edge on the bottom of my bag. So let me find my bottom piece. So I'm just gonna measure out in 1/2 inch, because it says it should be a 1/2 inch from all raw edges. So I'm just gonna get my ruler and I'm gonna get a basting spray to hold it in size. Peggy, so the size that I'm using is Tech 70. I got it from Sunny Sewing. So yeah, and I don't know if there's a certain brand. I just know that it's from Sunny Sewing. So yeah, so this thread I got from Sunny Sewing. It's a store out in Dallas. So I'm just going to baste this real quick so that I can put it onto my oh my goodness, I cannot think. So I can put it onto my bottom. But before I do that, sorry, I'm jumping around, I'm going to just draw my 1/2 inch seam allowance here so that I know it's in the right spot when I go to baste it. And I think I'm gonna put purse feet on mine. I haven't decided yet. Okay. Perfect. So I'm just gonna go and baste this. So this is just a quilting based spray that I got at, I believe, Joann's. Okay. So it's within my seam allowance, and now I'm going to just go with a maybe a 1/2 inch seam allowance on it, because I want it to be seen when it's sewn. Actually, I'm gonna go an inch. I'm still here. Sorry, somebody called me. Okay. So I'm gonna actually draw my so I'm going to do purse feet, so I'm just going to center this here. And let's see, this is 3 inches. So right now I'm just trying to evenly space them out. So I'm trying to decide where I want to place them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do my decorative stitching, and then from there I'll be able to determine where I want my purse feet at. So I'm going an inch in, keeping my stitch length at a 4. And this is not part of the pattern. The pattern calls for you to use your stabilizer on, but I'm using a sew-in. Okay. So here we go. It's just my little... So once it's sewn on, you'll just kind of see this little area here. Okay, now time to do my purse feet. Let's see where I'm gonna want it at. So I got my middle, and I got my sides. And I'm going to want to do 5. I'm going to want to do 5 purse feet for mine. So I'm just kind of doing a like even amount for them, for my purse feet. There's no like okay. I'm gonna go grab my purse feet. Okay. I'm just using my seam ripper to make a hole. Whoop. Just gonna make the hole a little bit bigger. It's only organized in the area you can see it. It's a hot mess out of sight. Okay. So now I'm just gonna add my purse feet. So I'm just putting my washers on my purse feet so that they don't move. Okay, so here are my purse feet. So they'll just sit. Keep the bottom of my purse out. Okay, so now that we're done with that piece, I'm going to set it aside because now we're going to do our slip pockets. So I'm just going to kind of tidy up my area. Okay, so set your bottom piece aside. That piece can sit aside. Actually, I'm gonna baste my foam piece at 1/8 of an inch onto my my bottom piece, and I'm gonna have to do these to all my foam pieces. Okay. There we go. So I'm just basting my foam pieces to the bottom panel, and then I'm gonna set, now I can set that aside because I'm done with that piece for now. So now it says to, we're gonna do the slip pocket. So we're gonna pin the exterior. So let's find the slip pocket, which is this piece. You're gonna get your exterior, which is the one that has the pattern piece, and then if it's a solid color or whatever you're using for your slip pocket. Uh-oh. You're going to clip this together. Okay. And you're gonna sew the top at 1/4 of an inch. And I'm putting my stitch length back to 2 1/4, or 2 3/4 really. Okay. Back stitch. Okay. And cut your threads. I didn't even realize that this is what I was wearing. That's so funny. It works out. I guess you can tell that I like leopard print. Okay. So from there, we're gonna flip right side out. If you're using a quilting cotton, you can press. I cannot press because I'm using vinyl and it will melt it. So I'm just going to clip my edges here together to try to help it so that when I go to sew, it's nice and easy for when I do my top stitching. And you're gonna top stitch the seam at 1/4 inch. Then we're gonna continue to baste around the panels to hold the two pieces together. So I'm going to just get these clips here and just put them across to hold the pieces together. I'm going to put my stitch at 4 and top stitch. And now you're going to continue top stitching and basting this all the way around. At 1/4 inch. Okay. Yes, I did buy the leopard print from Hobby Lobby. I am still fairly new at sewing bags. I joined this group 11 months ago, but I wasn't really making them. I was just kind of lurking. I would say maybe altogether like 4 or 5 months. I'm still fairly new and I'm still learning a ton. Okay, so the exterior slip pocket is done. I'm using a Juki DDL 5550. I found this on my local Facebook. I got really lucky. Okay. So now you're going to fold the slip pocket in half. And then you're going to pin it. Hold on. Okay, and then we're going to pin it to an exterior. Let me double check that I'm doing this. Okay. So now you need to get your main piece here. And I'm going to have to baste my foam pieces on first before I can do my slip pocket. Okay, so that's basted on, and I'm going to do my second. Okay. So that's basted. Just gonna put these away. So now I can do the slip pocket for the exterior. And so what I'm gonna do is I folded it. I have a crease. You can kind of see a little crease in the middle. So I'm using a Pillon Flex Foam. It's fusible, but since I'm using vinyl, I didn't want to fuse it on, so I'm having to baste it. And I should have did it off camera, but that way it's not so long. Sorry, it's not so long to along of a live, but I was not thinking. Okay, so middle. So pin the slip pocket lining downside on the right side of exterior panel, matching the raw edges. Machine base along at 1/4 of an inch, leaving the top edge open. So that's about middle. And what you're going to do is you're going to do this bottom at 1/4 of an inch, and then where that crease is, you're going to go up to make 2 slip pockets, or you can leave it and make 1. I'm kind of thinking that I might leave it and not do the middle part so that I have a nice big slip pocket, so I can put my phone and stuff in there. So if you're going to do two of the slip pockets, you can just go up the middle. I'm gonna leave mine open. So I just want to make sure that my edges are aligned, and I'm going to put clips so that it does not move. Okay, so 1/4 of an inch. I'm using a 4 since I'm basting it together. Okay. I'm going to thread zap my ends so that they don't fray. Be careful not to burn your vinyl if you're using one. Thank you. So, I'm telling, this is not how I normally sew. Everything's everywhere, and I am trying to use this tiny little space right here. So I'm wanting to try to be organized so that I'm not confusing anybody. But normally I'm a hot mess. Ooh, that actually is a good idea. I didn't even think about that, but yes, I'm kind of wishing I would have thought about that. So my next one, I'm gonna probably have to do a magnetic snap in it. But thank you, Lisa, for that. Yeah, so this is actually called a thread zap. I got this at Hobby Lobby in the jewelry section. And I was able to use a 40% off coupon, so I got it for a really good price. I'm wondering now, because I didn't put a magnetic slot, if it's gonna hold. Let me see. I'm using my phone, so I can't. So yeah. So because I didn't use a magnetic snap, I'm gonna go ahead and go up to hold it together. So I'm just going to fold this in half to get my crease line. It's no biggie. And I'm just gonna go straight down. Okay, so got my middle piece. Since I basted it, I guess I didn't want to open it back up. I'm gonna make another one though, and I'm definitely gonna do a snap. I'm trying to be extra today. Okay, so that's cute. I like that. So now that we did that, so now you're gonna do the same exact steps to do the slip pocket on the inside. So I'm gonna get my lining pieces here, pin them together right sides. Okay. So 1/4 inch. Putting my stitch length back to a 2 3/4. So now I'm going to top stitch at a 1/4 inch, but I'm going to move my stitch length back to a 4. I'm going to make sure this is nice and even. Thank you, Tamara. I'm actually really liking this purse. I feel like my mom's gonna see it and she's gonna make her one. And I already have like 5 different bags that I have to make her, that she probably won't even use. Okay. So now I'm just gonna do the, I didn't baste it, so I'm gonna go ahead and baste it now. So just sew at 1/4 of an inch still around here to put it together. Okay. So that's basted. I'm going to get my interior slip, because you're going to do the same exact thing that you did on the outside. So I'm going to make sure I get my and I'm actually going to chalk this down just to make sure I get a nice straight line. Okay. And I'm going to clip this all together. All right, 1/4 of an inch all the way around again. Okay. So my lining material is a waterproof canvas, Ortex waterproof canvas. So I'm just gonna cut my threads here, and now I'm still at a 4. And I'm going to just do my line here. And I'm gonna make sure that I backstitch at the beginning. Okay. So that's all done. And for those that are beginning, sometimes things don't always line up. It's no big deal. You can fix it. That's what I love about bag making, is you can kind of troubleshoot and correct not perfect stitching. So I'm gonna put these to the side. And I lost my pattern. Found it. Okay. Okay, So we already did the handles where I top stitched. So now we're going to move on to the gusset. I'm going to move my pattern. Here we go. So because I'm using foam, I'm going to have to baste it. Okay. There went my bobbin. I heard it and I was like, maybe it's gonna continue. No. Okay. Okay. Yes, Brenda, you will be able to access after the live has finished. This is the Ethel, Ethel, is that how you say it? Yes, the Ethel bag. Sorry, I think I've been saying it wrong. It's the Ethel bag, and it's a free pattern on Swoon. So you can go and grab it, and when you're ready, if you haven't, you can print it out and then rewatch this feed and see, and sew along with me. Even after this feed is done, it will still be in the group, so you don't have to worry about it disappearing. So right now I am just basting my foam pieces to my vinyl because I wasn't able to fuse it on. If I was using marine vinyl, I probably would have tried, but I'm using this, this is some vinyl that I got at Walmart when I was first learning how to sew. And so I figured I would just use it since I was making a bag for myself. Okay. So we're gonna pin you're gonna pin the exterior bottom to one of the exterior and I misplaced it. Oh, it's back here. Okay. Half-inch seam allowance is what you're going to use for this. And you're going to pin right sides together. Make sure my stitch is at the size I want it. Okay. So now you're going to press the seam allowance towards the bottom panel and you're going to top stitch at 1/4 inch. So you're going to want to get it and press it up towards the bottom panel. And now you're going to top stitch it at 1/4 inch, putting my stitch to a 4. I'm going to get my thread zap. Close off these threads. Okay, so I hope you can see this. See how it is top stitch at 1/4 inch, and I've made sure that my seam is pointing down towards the bottom panel. Brenda, I am sewing on a Juki DDL 5550. Okay, I make horrible faces. And I've been like watching myself and I'm like laughing at myself in my head like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm trying really hard not to make faces, but I can't help it. So now we're going to repeat that to the other side of our gusset. So we're going to right sides together again. And just so everybody knows, I am not throwing thread on the floor. I have a trash bin right here. Oh, okay. So, piece here. So there we go. We're going to sew this at 1/2 inch. Okay, So now, once again, press down that seam allowance and top stitch at 1/4 of an inch. Okay, and that part is done. So my 1/4 of an inch, and making sure that the seams are pointed towards the bottom panel. Okay, same. I'm like sitting here, my nose is so like straight here that like it just like falls down if I'm like looking straight down. But I need my glasses in order to see, so. Okay. Now, so you're gonna repeat this step that we just did to the lining piece. So you're gonna get your lining bottom panel, your lining bottom panel, and then your gusset side pieces. I'm gonna set this aside, and I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And what I'm gonna do, so I'm not constantly going back and forth, is I'm going to put this together. I'm gonna sew this together, and then I'm gonna do the other side, and then I'll top stitch. So remember, you're sewing at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay. Get your other side, right sides together. And you're just gonna do the same exact thing we just did. 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay. So now we're gonna do our top stitching. Whoops. Pushing that seam allowance down so it's pointing towards the bottom panel. 1/4 of an inch, top stitch it. Making sure that bottom piece is facing down at the bottom panel. And I'm going to repeat the top stitching. Gotta fix my chair. There we go. So now you have your lining gusset made. So now we're going, it's for assembly. So fold the exterior gusset. So we're gonna get our exterior piece right here. And you're gonna want to fold in half, matching the short ends. So these right here, the short ends of the gusset. Perfect. And now you're gonna mark the center along the bottom edge. This will be the center panel, the center of the bottom panel. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a small little V within my seam allowance, because I can't really mark on black and I can't pin on vinyl either, because I don't want to leave. So it's very small. You can barely even see it, but you can kind of see the little V right here. It's very tiny, but it's noticeable enough for me to be able to know where my centers are. So I'm just going to double check to make sure that it's correct. Perfect. Make this V a little bit bigger. Alrighty, perfect. So now we're gonna make sure we mark all the centers on our pattern pieces. So once again, we're gonna get our main, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna fold it in half. Then I'm going to just clip it a little bit, but I don't need to clip it actually. Wait, hold on. I don't need to clip it because this right here is gonna be where we stitch the middle. That is my middle, so I don't have to clip the bottom, but I do need to, I'm gonna clip, no, we don't need to clip the top main. So now, get so your back piece here, and you're gonna clip it. So I'm just gonna line up here. Okay. Oh, those are gone. Alrighty. So if you can see, it's clipped in the middle here. So now it's time to match the center panels. You're going to match the centers with the right side down. So the gusset is going to be right side down, and I'm just going to make sure it's perfect. And so now you're just going to pin all this together. Now you're going to match your top edges. Okay. So what I do is I pin a little bit, come back, and then I match my top seams here, and then I can go in and ease this into the curve. again. And just work it in and pin. There we go. Now time to do this side. Okay. Yes, so I do, sometimes I'll have my AirPods in and I'll listen to music. Sometimes I forget and I just like am sewing and it's quiet. But I stay home with my little one, so if like I know my husband is able to watch them, then I just sit in silence so I can keep an ear out for them. Okay, so now that we have our panel piece, our main panel and our gusset together, we are going to sew it down. I'm just reading through this to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yes, so I have 4 boys. So my house is Fight Club pretty much. So I have to make sure that they're not killing each other because they'll get upset at each other for my 3rd son, he's 2, and he gets mad at his brothers if they don't feed him, or like if they get a snack and they didn't get him a snack either, they will start fighting. It's my 2-year-old runs the house pretty much, and he is the boss of his older brothers, and his older brothers does everything that he says. My little one is only 1, or he'll be 1 on Sunday. So he's not gonna be a little baby. He's starting to walk. So my husband will watch him, and then I keep my ear out for the older ones. Make sure they don't hurt each other. Okay. So with the main panel up, sew along the pinned edge at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So like this. This is how I'm gonna sew it. I'm gonna start at the center, go all the way around, and then come back and go all the way around on the other side. Yes, my 2-year-old does not mess around when it comes to food. It's something. It is a really big bag. I was thinking it was going to be a smaller bag, but I'm kind of actually really liking this because I keep a planner in my purse because I have so many appointments and stuff with my boys and myself. So we're sewing this at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to make sure that my stitch length is back at a 2 1/4. And I'm going to start in the middle, I'm going to go all the way up, and then I'm going to come back and do the other side. That way it's even. So there's going to be some bulk in here, so take it easy if you're on a domestic machine. Since this is 2 layers of foam along with 3 layers of vinyl. And if you're doing the same and you're on a domestic machine, it might give you a little bit of trouble. Okay. Yes, so I found that it just helps keep it even. Because say if I start over here and it shifts a little bit, I'm moving that all the way around till I get to the top, and then I could have like a 1/2 inch, or this could be uneven. So that's why I like to go in the middle, because it'll keep it even. Okay, so Kathy, this is a industrial machine. It's a Juki DDL 5550. Okay, so I'm gonna start from up here because it's gonna be hard to Okay. I don't know where I put my snips at. Here they are. Alrighty. So you're gonna repeat this step to the other side of the exterior panel. So this is what it looks like from inside. I'm super excited about it. So I'm going to match up my middle points. I'm going to pin or clip a couple. Then I'm going to match my sides. And I'm going to pin down here a little bit. And I'm going to work my way Okay, go on to my other side. I'm gonna start with this side. Then just ease this in. Okay, perfect. So now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna start from the middle. Uh-oh. Lost my bobbin. Okay. So I'm going to start from the middle on this side, 1/2 inch. Okay. So I got this side done, and now I'm going to do my other side. And I'm going to do it this way instead of going from the top. 1/2 inch seam allowance here. When you get to the corners, just kind of ease it. Don't tug and pull, just let it. As soon as I get close to one of my clips, I let it go, but I put my finger there to kind of keep it in place so nothing shifts. If you have a walking foot, or if you have like a walking foot machine, that will help. I don't, so I have to make sure I don't push and tug. Okay. There we go. Yes, you can use quilting cotton. You just need to make sure that you interface, Kathy. So I kind of was contemplating on maybe doing a, because I think it would be really cute if I added maybe like strap connectors with D-rings and then made, not D-rings, or maybe like little snaps that they snap together to hold it in. But I'm just gonna keep this one as simple as possible. This is my first time making it, so normally once I make the pattern, I make a purse according to the pattern, and then from there I'm like, oh, okay, I can change this, I can change that. Oh, thank you, Mona. I will say I'm a lot more confident now that I've gotten my industrial machine, but I've been sewing clothing for a couple years, so I kind of have like an understanding, but bag-wise still kind of intimidate me. I'm not gonna lie. Of course. So look, Sandy, if you are worried about the foam, you can always change out the interfacing. If you maybe want to try to do it with a fusible fleece, the only thing is foam gives it this nice structure. See how like if I set it down, it doesn't like flop, it stays. So if you did a fleece, it will be a little bit more like a slouchy bag. But it's always good to experiment with your interfacing and find how you like your bags. So what I'm gonna do is I like to, once I've sewn it together, I like to pull it out and make sure that everything was caught. So I'm going to turn the bag the right way. It looks like I'm being rough with it, but I'm making sure that I'm not really pushing on it. I don't think my threads will snap, but if you're using a domestic and you're using a regular all-purpose, then I would make sure that you don't pop any of the threads. So what I'm going to do is just run my finger along, make sure. And you can tell right here there was a little bit of puckering, but nothing too serious. This back side came out perfectly. Just need to push the seams out. Just make sure that I just get my finger and I just kind of go along the seam allowance and push everything out. So you can kind of see how it will push that lining, the vinyl out to where it needs to be. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the other side and run my finger across. Okay. Now do the other side. And so there is so when I sew vinyl, I use 116 needles. So that's what I use. Okay. So once you've seen that it's all nice, you've cut everything, we can go on to the next part. There we go. I'm guessing that my kids are getting on Fortnite, so there might be some lagging. Okay. So now you're going to do the same exact thing with your lining pieces. So this will probably be a little bit easier because it's not as thick. Uh-oh. So you're going to want to do the same thing you did with the the exterior gusset, you're gonna line your pieces up and mark your middles. You can mark it with a pen. I just do a little triangle. I just do a little triangle within the seam allowance, something that I can see and know that that's my middle. So now. Okay. And so you see how it didn't catch when I first basted it. I'm not worried about it because I am using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so it'll catch it regardless when I go and do my lining. So I'm not worried about that. So I'm gonna go, got my little snip in the middle. And now we can move on to adding our center pieces. So I'm just gonna move this. So I normally like to do my thicker part first. So the one with the one that has a slip pocket I'm gonna do first. So I'm gonna match middle seams. Make sure it is right sides together. And I'm gonna clip. So like I said, I do a couple clips on the side. Then I go and I will match my top. Do the same to my other side. Match my top. And though it seems that we've been on here quite a long time, I will have to say this is a pretty quick sew bag. Okay. So now I just want to ease this in. Okay. I'm gonna make a few snips in my gusset so that I can ease this curve. There we go. There we go. Now I'm going to do the same thing to this side. So I'm just going to make a few clips within the seam allowance, so maybe like 1/8 of an inch. This will just help ease into my curves. Okay. So I'm just making sure that everything fits together. If you have any like puckering, so like right here, you can kind of see that will end up being, if I sew it, it will kind of pleat itself. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna work it to the middle. Kind of ease it through. There we go. Until it disappears. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing, start from the middle and go up. Boom. 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay. That side's done, and now I'm gonna do my next side. Got a 1/2 inch seam allowance like before. Okay, perfect. I just kind of gauge how I did. Good. So now we can move on to the next main panel piece. Match center markings. There we go. So now I'm going to match my tots. Work your way down. Going to clip around the corners here to help ease it in. Okay. Hi, Andrea. For your first try, are you wanting to make a purse? I would say if you want to make something, I would say this bag here. This is a really easy sew. Like it's coming along quickly and it's so simple, minimal hardware. And that's nice. So once again, I'm gonna clip within the seam allowance here. Whoops, there goes a clip. I'm just gonna ease this in. There we go. Okay. Yes. So I am planning on making, I don't remember what the name of the pattern that was the second runner up to the to this one. I plan on doing that one. I'm not sure if that has I'm not sure if it has a zipper, but I'm also going to be putting on my YouTube channel a Lynette. I'm doing the Betsy Bowler bag. Oh, thank you, Cindy. I'm really happy you said that because I did make myself a YouTube channel. I don't have any videos yet, but I'm actually super nervous because I'm hoping that I'm explaining everything well. But I do plan on making every Swoon pattern. That is my goal. So I have a couple that I'm doing within this week. So if you want, I'm more than happy to go live for the Lynette bag. It's the Lynette business bag. It's for your laptop. My sister wanted one for her laptop and her iPad, so I'm gonna make her one. Okay, so having seam allowance, we're going to. I'm going to start halfway. Okay. Just going to keep working through this. There we go. If you need to take it slow, it's okay. That way you don't get any puckering or something doesn't get caught. Okay. Sorry about that. Somebody called me. It scared me. I don't know if you saw me jump, but I was not expecting somebody to call me. It was super loud. Okay. So, let me... Okay. So I did this side. Yes. I have done a couple. I'm a pattern hoarder, but I'm a pattern hoarder. I do have a ton of other patterns, like from bag stock, and I really love Aura Rosa. She has a really cute backpack. But since I'm an admin in the Swoon group, it's only right to do Swoon patterns in the group. Eventually, I will do some other tutorials. Okay, so now we're gonna do the other side. Okay, so here we go, 1/2" seam allowance. And for the beginners, if your pattern pieces aren't matching, if they're not even, don't freak out. It's okay. You can trim it up and make it even, and nobody will even know. Because sometimes, I know, like, sometimes when I cut, it may be different. Like, one side may be longer than the other side, which it all works itself out. That is what I love about bag making, is you can easily hide your mistakes. You cannot do that in sewing clothing, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm just working my way on this curve, going slow, stopping if I need to move and adjust my lining. It's okay to go slow and take it easy and stop if you need to. You don't have to go full force on every bag. Okay, so here we go, getting to the easy part. And this, honestly, is the hardest part of the bag. After this, it's going to be easy. Okay, so now I'm just going to move this out of the way. Okay. So there we go. We have our lining. And like I said, it's not always perfect. You can kind of see where the lining may have like slipped, or it's a little bit uneven, but we'll fix that at the end. Okay. So now, just like the outside exterior piece, I like to flip it inside out to make sure Gail, so okay, so if you go to the event section, there is there's an event. You can say that you're going, and it will notify you ahead of time about the live. This live is kind of a little last minute. Normally I'll give everybody some time to get on, but I did this all within a week span, I believe. I think last Friday was the last day of the polls, and then we did cutting over the weekend. I should have made an announcement in the group, but I was too excited to get on. Yeah, so I plan on doing sew-alongs for every Swoon pattern eventually. Actually, Casey, thank you. Hold on. No, you don't have to, let me see. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. I think this one is a little bit different. Hold on, let me find the, where is my page? Okay. Handle liner. I think this one is a drop in, let me see. Lining. You are right, Casey. I did not leave a 6-inch opening, so no worries. It happens. That's what happens when I don't read the pattern ahead. So what I'm gonna do is, if you sewed it like I did, just flip it out, pick a side, unstitch it, and then just go back to where the end and back stitch on it to lock the stitches back in. It happens. Sorry everyone. Thank you for letting me know, because then I would have got to that part and I would have been like, what in the world? So right here, I'm just gonna get it here. Yes, the sew along stays in the group forever, so that you'll be able to come back and watch this you'll be able to watch this once you finish the once the live is done. So Casey just sewed, I hope I'm saying it right. Is it Casey or Cassie? So I did not leave a 6-inch opening. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to pick a place for me to turn the bag. Just one extra step. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just picking the stitches. You won't see this when so make sure you're leaving a 6-inch opening on the side of the bag. Don't be like me and close it up. But that's okay, because look, I'm just going to get my seam ripper and adjust that. Okay, and so now to lock that in place, all I'm gonna do is right where I took that out, I'm gonna go 3 stitches above. I'm going to just back stitch to lock that seam in right there, that thread, so it doesn't come undone when I'm pulling. And then I'm gonna pull the thread here, and right here where I ended, I'm gonna go right at the top. Okay, there we go. Now you won't even know that I made a mistake. Okay, so make sure you leave that opening 6 inches, it says. Okay, so you're gonna trim the seam allowance down to 1/4 of an inch. Do not, where that opening is, you're not gonna do, you're not gonna trim down the seam allowance. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my pinking shears. That way when I go around this corner, it'll turn better. So I am using a Tech 70 thread for my industrial. It's a pretty thick thread. I believe, I don't know if Tammy is still here, but I know that she uses upholstery thread for her domestic machine. Okay, so right here, I just want to show you, I'm cutting it down to 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm kind of just going up where this opening is, because you're gonna need that in order to top stitch. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other end. So you see, I'm leaving this piece here long. And now I can just continue cutting around a 1/4 of an inch on kind of thick right here on this corner piece. So just you probably don't need to use pinking shears, but I just like to. And now you're gonna do the same. Oh my goodness, I was wondering, I hadn't seen you in a while. That's crazy, Tammy, that it blocked you. Okay, so right on where that slip pocket is, I'm gonna use my regular scissors because it's hard with the, but when I get to the curve, I'm going to switch back to my pinking shears. If you're using a quilting cotton, it's probably not going to be as hard as the waterproof canvas, because waterproof canvas can be kind of thick. And see, remember how I told you that it was a little off? This is what I was talking about, hiding it. When you, now that I'm trimming off my seam allowance, you're not even gonna know that I didn't catch any of this. I'm gonna go from this side. So we're cutting it at a 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Whew, that was hard. Trash. Okay, so that is done. I think we're also gonna do the same thing with, well, let me see if we're gonna trim down the inside. And you know what? I forgot. Actually, no. Okay, perfect. So, I almost forgot to put my nameplate in on my purse. And I'm so glad I remembered, because these are my brand new nameplates. So I'm just going to add this to the middle, which here. Okay. I'm just gonna kind of center it. Mark. Whoops. I lost my seam. trying to see if I can find my craft knife again so that I can cut through this, but it's disappeared. Oh, found it. It was just hiding. Okay, so if you have a nameplate, go ahead and put it in. If you don't, they say my business name, so I don't know if you can see that. It says Castine. So that's what I'm putting on my purse. So I'm just going to okay. So there we go, my nameplate. So I got my nameplates from Alibaba from her name was Angela. I will post, so when the video is done, I'll make a post of all the links of where you can get the supplies that I use and for where you can get my nameplates. Okay. So just want to make sure that's even. Out of the way. So now we're gonna do the handles. So the handles with the exterior bag wrong side out. So I'm gonna re-put this in. I just bent my nail. Okay. I'm so glad y'all could join. I'm having so much fun. It's nice not like sewing by myself. I feel like I'm sewing with a whole bunch of people right now. Okay, so I'm gonna trim the seam allowance down like it told me to. I'm just gonna use my regular scissors because foam is super thick. I'm just gonna trim it down to 1/4 of an inch like it said, and pretty much all I'm doing is following my basting stitch because we had to baste down that okay, here we go. This foam is super thick, so make sure you have a good pair and just throw that in the trash. Go on to the Deb, don't worry. If I would be, I'm always late to everything. So I'm always fashionably late to everything. Okay, so a basting stitch is just, here, I can show you. So a basting stitch is just putting two pieces together, like within the seam allowance. So like for instance, sorry, we did the slip pocket. So instead of pinning it, we basted it within the seam allowance. So if the seam allowance is, the seam allowance here is 1/2 inch, we based it, we attached it with our sewing machine at 1/4 inch. That way it all becomes one piece. It's less things you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about when you're putting the bag together. You don't have to worry about it shifting. Since it's one piece, it's already put together. So, and you won't see this stitch. You shouldn't see the basting stitch if you did it within the seam allowance. Okay, so I'm still going around at 1/4 inch trying to that is done. Make sure you didn't clip anything because that would be really sad. I've done that before. Okay, everything looks good. So now we can do our handles. So our exterior bag is wrong side out. This is the wrong side. This is our right side. It's the pretty side is the right side. We're gonna match. We're gonna get our straps right here. We're gonna tuck a handle inside the bag. Match the raw edge of one end of the handle with the top raw edge of an exterior. So the picture, it's gonna be like this. So you're gonna wanna do U shape. Make sure you don't get it twisted, because then when it goes up, it's gonna be twisted. It's not gonna look right. So U shape. So what I do is I get it, make sure I have one side here. Now, when I have that in my hand correctly, I get the other side and hold it up so that I know it's all one side. It's not going to be twisted. So I'm going to get my clips and I'm just going to randomly clip it. That way it doesn't fall. It's not in the right spot, but I know that it's going to be the right way. So I'm going to put this up against the seam here. And there we go. So now I'm going to get my other handle. I'm going to move it to this seam here. And I'm going to clip it. And then what I like to do is I like to just make sure that it is the right way. So it is. So it's going to be, see how my strap is not twisted? It's all correct. It's all like one, it's not like twisted or anything. Okay, now for our second strap. Again, I just like to make sure that it's the right way. I'm gonna add my clips, put one clip in. I know it's not twisted, and then I'm going to add it to the raw edge of my bag, so it'll look like this, and it's gonna be right up against this seam, because that's how the pattern has it. And what you're going to do is you're going to baste it at 1/4 inch so it's stuck on, so it doesn't move whenever you're putting on the lining. Okay. So just hold on to it. Just baste this at 1/4 inch. Might be a little hard because of the, there we go. And if you need to, you can move it over a little bit so that it's not right up against this bulk. Since I have an industrial on, it's okay. The bulk isn't gonna mess anything. I'm gonna put my stitch length to a 4 and baste it. Okay. And I lost my snips. pairs of these, and I don't know where the other one is. I tend to lose them a lot. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing here. 1/4 of an inch, baste it down. Now I'm just gonna clip my threads. So now I have my handle attached at 1/4 of an inch basting stitch. I'm gonna do the second one the same exact way. Okay. Okay, so now we have our handles basted on. If you want, double check now to make sure it's not twisted. It's not. It's fine. And I can put it back in. And now we can go on to the last piece. Okay, we're at the finish line. Now all we need to do is put on our lining piece, and we are about done. How exciting is that? I'm so excited. I cannot wait to be done. Well, to be done so I can take everything out of my backpack and put it into this purse. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to thread zap some of these threads that are just being annoying. Okay. So with the lining wrong side out and the exterior right side, so now we need to turn this right side out. So I'm just going to get the corner. I'm going to pull it through, and I'm going to get the other corner and pull it through. So I'm just going to make sure everything is out. I'm going to get my finger and rub it against these seams to make sure that it's not, none of the vinyl is stuck inside. See how it's stuck inside here? I'm just going to get my finger and rub. So the thread zap, it helps with my bonded nylon thread so it doesn't fray. It kind of just melts it away. But you got to be careful because you can melt the vinyl, and I've learned that the hard way. But I love this thing. I've been wanting it for forever, and I finally got it, and I'm so glad I did. It was worth it. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the back. I just want to rub my finger out through it, make sure that it's all out. Nice, beautiful curve. And look, this is pretty much what the finished product is gonna look like. How adorable is this? So cute. And I'm sure yours is just as cute as mine. And I cannot wait. As soon as you're done, please post and share it to the group so we can all comment and see your beautiful creations. Okay, so with the lining wrong side out, so this is the wrong side. I have a waterproof canvas, that's why it's shiny like this. This is the wrong side. So what I'm gonna do is you're gonna get the exterior piece and you're gonna place it inside the lining. So it's gonna be a little bit of a tight fit because and you're just going to put it in. I will say you want to make sure it's the way you want it to be. So if you want your slip pocket in the front, make sure that's how it is. I don't really care, so I'm just going to put in. I think mine is going to end up on the back side of the purse. So make sure your straps are inside. You don't want to keep those straps outside because that would be really sad. Okay, tuck my other strap back in. I am so excited for this, guys. I am so glad this is what won. I probably would have never made this without y'all. Okay, so now that we have our exterior piece inside of our lining piece, you're gonna match the side seams up. So this seam here, you're gonna line it up with this seam on the inside, right here. So line it up and then clip. Go to the other side. And if you have a domestic, you might want to spread the seams or put them opposite sides. So if one of the seams is facing this way, do the lining seam facing the other way, and that will alleviate some of the bulk. Which I tend to do that regardless, even if I have even with my industrial. So, okay, seam here, seam. And now I'm going to do this seam. Okay, and now I'm just gonna get clipped, and I'm gonna go around, pin the remaining side. I'm just gonna get my lining and my exterior, and I'm gonna line the raw edges together at the top, and then we can sew it closed and pull it through that little hole. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Yes, Deb. My favorite part. It's like I'm almost there. Which I'm super excited about this. Okay. So now we're gonna sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance like we did the rest of the bag. So she's wanting you, so make sure when you get to the handles, you backstitch at the beginning and at the end. That way it has a little bit more, what's the word I'm thinking? Support maybe? No. Stability. So that way you don't have to worry about it pulling out with just one stitch. So really go back and forth on that, on those handles. Okay. So here we go, guys. We are at the finish line. 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm gonna turn my stitch back to a 2.5 here. And I'm just gonna go all the way around. I'm making sure that I go a back stitch on that. Needle down, and I'm going to switch, or I'm going to adjust it. So make sure when you're moving your bag, you have your needle down, because there's been times I did not have my needle down and I pulled my bag out and it was sad. So needle down and adjust. And actually, I feel like my bobbin is going to go out soon, which will be sad. So just work your way. Don't rush this part. We don't want to make any mistakes so close to the end. So we're just going to work it. Just move it around till we get there. make sure you backstitch at the strap section. I think I skipped the strap, so I'm probably gonna go back and do that. Okay. Continue on, we're almost there. Just keep adjusting your bag, and you can squish it. Your bag can take a little bit of a beating. That foam will, if you're using foam, it will bring back that support. And if you're using quilting cotton, you'll be able to, if you're using quilting cotton, you'll be able to iron it. Good morning, Gail. Yes. What Sally said about basings. Okay. So I'm at this next handle. I'm going to make sure I stitch it down. I back stitch so that it has some. There we go. And guess what? We just closed up the okay, so I'm gonna go back here because I did not do my reverse stitching on the handle. So I just want to make sure that it has some of that extra stability. I carry a lot of stuff, so I want to make sure that this does not break on me while carrying all my junk. Okay. I know, I cannot wait. I'm so excited to see what it looks like also. Try to do it quickly so that you can get to sleep. Okay, so you're gonna trim the seam allowance down to 1/8 of an inch around the, around the bag. So where did I put my scissors at? Okay. This will alleviate a lot of the bulk because I know we're going to top stitch it also. I'm obsessed with this pattern, guys. Like, this is really pretty. I love the outcome. Ugh. Okay, these strapped areas are really thick, so be careful. There we go. Okay. Now we can pull the bag right side through the 6-inch opening. Then we're gonna fold the raw edges, close it. You won't even be able to see that little stitching inside. If like I'm using a coordinating thread with my, so it will be hidden. You won't even be able to see it. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to hope that I use a big enough hole. Worst case, if it's not big enough, you can unstitch it and pull through. I'm just gonna work my way with my Oh, thank you, Kathy. Yes. It's kind of broken, so I have to put a magnet to hold it. but I like sewing in a bright room. Ugh. This is a workout, guys. Actually, you're right. Let me see if I can. I apparently just like making things more difficult. I wonder if I'm, oh yeah. Wow. I would be here all night. Thank you so much. Because apparently I have no common sense. So let's see if I can get this through. I feel like my hole might be too small.
Are you done on your call?
Hmm?
Are you done calling?
No, I'm still on a video.
Dad did not need to on your call.
Oh, he's still on a call?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're not. Mama, I just got.
I guess I still kind of have to get them. I think I'm going to have to.
I just got like 20 and now I'm not playing.
Oh, you have school tomorrow, dude.
What?
Yeah, sorry, that's my little one. Upset about Fortnite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop some of these because it ain't working for me. So all I'm going to do is cut a few here, and then I'll just do what I did when I did it wrong. I'll just, because my hands are cramping. Okay. I think that will be good enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this inside a little bit. Okay. And now I'm just going to okay. Okay, so the machine, the make and model of my machine is a Juki DDL 5550. It's pretty much the same machine. Sorry, it's pretty much the Juki 8700, I believe. Mine is just made in Japan versus the 8700, I believe, is made in China. Okay, so I just needed a bigger hole. Now that I got that through, it happened. Okay. So I'm going to, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna get my hand and I'm gonna do the same thing I did when I turned it out from the wrong side to the right side. I'm just gonna rub my fingers to kind of get all the vinyl out, or the to pop everything out. Okay, now what you're gonna do is I don't pull out the corners, because if I pull out the corners, I'm gonna have to put them back in and they might sorry, I got distracted. So I keep the corners kind of in because you're going to want to put the lining back into the bag, and that means that you'll have nice crisp corners when you put it back in if you don't pop them out with your hand. Yes, you can modify the leopard print part. I guess I don't. Wendy, what exactly do you mean? Like, you, instead of making it into 2 separate pockets, you can make it into 1 pocket and put a snap on it, and you'll have 1 big pocket. So there's different ways that you can probably modify it if you want to. Or if you don't want a front pocket, you can just do an accent piece, and you can, so like instead of doing the waterproof canvas on the inside, you can just do the leopard print, stitch it on, and then you have like a nice cute little accent piece without a pocket. So there's different ways that you could modify it. Okay, so I'm going to get so now you're gonna want to get your bag. It's gonna, if you put your fingers in, it's gonna want to close automatically on its own because it'll follow that seam allowance. So mine's gonna be a little difficult because I did have to pop open a few threads, but it's nothing I can't. Just gonna get this and put it together. Okay. There we go. And now you're going to just, with the 1/8 of an inch, you're gonna close this up. And then you're done. So make sure you back stitch at the start of this because you don't want it to come undone. Okay, and guess what? After this, you are done. You have made the beautiful Ethel bag. Ethel bag. I don't think I say it wrong. Okay, so you're gonna put it in, and I believe we're gonna top stitch. I guess we're not fully out of the woods yet. So get your hand, put it in. So now I believe we're gonna top stitch. Let me look at this last. Wait, I'm missing a page. Oh, it's on the floor. Okay, sorry about that. So then you're going to tuck all this in, and then you're going to top stitch it at 1/4 of an inch, and then guess what? You are done. So I'm going to get clips just to kind of hold it in place. So I want to just make sure that my lining and my vinyl are are sitting nicely and flushed right next to each other, so like nothing's like the canvas or the lining isn't above the vinyl, the outside. I just want to make sure that it's all even. Okay. I think so. I'm going to get my machine to a 4 for my stitch because it's a top stitch, and I'm going to start, let's see, not in the front because you don't want to have like a back stitch in the front. I'm gonna start kind of, I'm gonna start right here in the back and hide the back stitch in this seam. So, and it's 1/4 of an inch. Adjust the bag as you go around. Make sure that your straps are facing out and not tucked underneath because you don't want to accidentally pop stitch it to your bag. I got a broken needle. Yep. So I broke my needle, but that was my fault. No biggie. I will just... Yes, like Tammy said, I use 100/16 for my needles. I actually just broke one of mine, so I'm going to put in a new one. But that was because I didn't put my needle down, and so then I tried to, and it shifted, so I tried to put it back in the same spot, but I bent the needle and broke it. So it wasn't because the bag was too thick. Just because I wasn't paying attention. So I'm just going to put my needle in the highest position. And after you top stitch, you're pretty much done. So I really hope that everybody that joined, that y'all post your beautiful creations in the group so that we can all see them. And I'm super excited to see what everybody created. And I'm so happy that I had as many people watching as I did, because I was really nervous that I wasn't going to have any views. Okay, so back to the top stitching. Okay, the strap makes it thick. Okay. Oh, so probably turn my machine on. Okay. Well, I have to redo that because everything is going wrong. My bobbin went out. Let me just grab it real quick. It's normally what happens at the end of the bag. It's like you're so close to being done, and then everything that can possibly go wrong goes wrong. So let's try this again. Okay. I'm like so close to being to the end of my top stitching, but my bag is not cooperating today, nor is my sewing machine. Okay, now we got it. So I'm going to get my thread zapper, carefully zap my threads. Okay. And now you have your the finished bag. How cute is this? Yes, you can add a strap. You can add a snap for the closure. I would just maybe put it in, let's see. I mean, if you're not doing a name tag, so I would put it in right where my name tag is at. So that would be where your snap is, but on the inside of the bag. And then if you have a name tag, I would just put it at the bottom or something. But isn't this the cutest thing? Let me move you. Hold on, I'll plug my phone. Isn't this so cute? And the purse feet on the bottoms, I am loving it. I think I need to go to the store right now just to go and try to get some compliments. So if you want, you can adjust the straps to be smaller so that you can have a nice cute little maybe like elbow purse, or you can do a longer strap if you want it a little bit longer. But this is the finished product, and I cannot wait to see all of yours. Everybody that sewed with me, I cannot wait to see what y'all made. Please tag me in it so that I get the notification. And I'm so glad you joined me, and I can't wait for our next one. I will do a poll August 1st, we'll have another poll for the sew along. And from there, we'll just continue doing them. So every first of the month, we'll do a sew along. So we'll do the poll. And so I can't wait for the next one. Bye, guys. September is next week. Bye. Thank you.